Hey, we've got a red light. Evening, welcome, lockdown workshop. Workshop's in a mess. Not done any videoing for a while actually. I think the last thing we did was we fixed some fans, and these were bits and bobs jobs that were left over from last year. So, oh, there's my ad. Oh, I could stay to that. So workshop's still pretty much in the state we left it from the woodworking and messing about with the fans. Let's get the logo straight. I don't even know what the logo is, it's just one I've got floating around in here. We're trying a new camera tonight. It's Friday night. It's 13th January. It's pretty cold and miserable outside. It's not that cold, but it's not 30 degrees and sunshine. So, first full week back in the year. We'll give the Canon a go. So I bought this camera a while back. I think I've mentioned it before. I upgraded from the 500 to the 700 because I can plug the microphone in. So we're testing a new microphone tonight. It's a Rode shotgun mic, or a Rode A shotgun mic. It's that cold in here. I've got the heater on behind me. You might be able to hear it. So we'll give that a go. We'll see what the video quality is like, what the autofocus is like. One of the beauties of using the Insta, it's over there, I'm not going to go and dig it out, is that it's got very short focal length, so I don't have to worry about focusing. It's got a really wide angle, so you can just stick it there, get it as close as you can to the work, and it just works. I've got no zooming in or anything like that to do. But we'll give this a go, so see what you think. Any comments on the other one? It does take a step out of the recording for me because the Insta has a proprietary file type. It doesn't. It automatically creates a thumbnail and another file, and if I try and import them straight into, I use DaVinci for the editing, and if I take them straight into DaVinci, then I've got to try and work out which are the thumbnail files and which are the high definition files, and then it's just a lot of faff. And if there's a problem with the file, the Insta software will sort it out. So basically what I do is I just chuck them in Insta, just do an auto export into a normal MPG file that I then chuck into the DaVinci software, and it's at the right thing. It's 1960 by 1080 or something, or whatever it is. It's the usable level of high definition without getting into stupid file sizes and taking ages to upload and pissing people off. So I think 1080 looks about 1080 down that side, not that side. Looks okay on a you know, on my Mac screen. So you know, it is what it is. But it might save a bit of time, and then maybe I can spend a bit more time doing the editing. I'm trying to get my head around the editing. I know what I want to do. It's just I can't be asked to look it up. So I've used video editing software for years, so I know what I want to do and how to assemble the videos, but it's just whether I've got the time or the inclination to start mucking about with inserts and blending and dual screen and, you know, all these other things. I've just got a very set routine by which I process the videos, cut out the bits I don't want to do the fades and the transitions and the top and tail, the titles and stuff like that. But you know, it would be nice to have some proper entry videos and things, which I've started looking at, so we'll see how that goes. I think the first thing I need to do is tidy up the workshop. It's in a right mess. I've got a bike to do. So well, let's show you what's on today's list then. So right, what have we got today for your delectation? Right, we've got another Planet X. Problems with the gears. I think I've already spotted one problem when the bike was delivered. There's potentially a problem with it jumping off, but I think I know what that is, so I think I hope that's going to be fairly straightforward. I'll give the bike a once over an M check as normal. They do want the bar tape checking. You can tell it's a girls' ladies' bike by all the flipping paraphernalia all over it. She must have taken about half a dozen bags off it. We've got stuff strapped on there, we've got bags there, there was bags up there, there's stuff all over handlebars. You know, there's nothing like riding a clean cockpit with ladies. And we are riding clips. So they're those we can zoom in now, can't we? Ooh, look at that. Double-sided pedals. Come on, zoom. There, so flats on one side, SPDs on the other. So you text your choice. Yeah, trying to work a camera and move a pedal around with your foot at the same time. It's not the easiest. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to look at the focus on this. Not very happy with it. Maybe I need to mess about with it. The trouble is the way the camera works is completely different to the other models. So we'll have a little play with that. Oh yeah, last time this was here, I clipped the light on better on the back, and then it promptly fell off. So lesson there: don't piss about with people's lights. Just leave them. Only touch what you've been asked to touch. Right, so we'll get that up on the lift and have a look at it in a bit. I think first we need to do is just let's have a quick walk around the workshop. It's zoom you right back. Yeah, it's the workbench is absolute carnage. Bins full. Workbench is out. Heaters on. Ooh. That lot's still gotta go on that lot. Bike we did about 4 weeks ago is still here waiting to be collected. I think I'm over winter storage for summer bikes at the moment. Only winding you up, Lee. Ooh. Yeah. Oh yeah. The tarps blew off the chicken hut yesterday, so we've got to sort all them lot out. I was just dawned on me that I'm struggling to get the camera to focus, but I actually got my glasses on, so it could be all right. Yeah, put the dotter in the middle. Yeah, that seems to be amazing. That works better. Right, so let's get this lot cleaned up. I'll stick it in the stand, and we will. You can't actually stop the recording on the screen. That's a bit annoying. That's a faff. The record button's round the back. Right, so let's can you see the whole bike? Yes, just. Right, hopefully we're focused. My bum's getting nice and warm. Yeah, it's a little bit tidier. Yeah, these handlebars aren't in the right place. They're up in the air. I don't know how people ride like that, because it's almost impossible to get down on the drops. But yeah, so M-check standard. So start at the front brake on. Oh yeah, it's a Planitex, massive amount of headstock movement. Feels like there's a bit of knocking on the front wheel, but it could just be these brakes are so poorly adjusted it's catching on the... Let's not bother with the adjusters. No, they're fine. And they work now. Right, so it's just the headset at the moment. Any buckles? No buckles. Brakes are good. Still slightly biased towards that one, so just needs a little bit of a tweak. That's better. Just check. Let's get into the habit of checking this, seems we find some amazing things in here nowadays when we look. Don't want to send you out of here with a... Nope, both springs there, one on each side and in the right place. Some of the weird and wonderful things we've seen this year, worth checking. These are right faff. These Planet X ones, no, the Vision ones. Let's dial that back down again. Is that another? Yeah, it's okay. Visual inspection of the cables themselves. They look good, no fraying. Sheaths are good. As I said, headset knock. So we'll tighten that up. Have a look at it. Maybe chuck a bit of grease in there. What else have we got? Right. Moving down. Let's have a look at the crank. Generally all right. These SRAM Force carbon. Really nice crankset here. I'm not a big fan of SRAM, as you might have been able to tell, but this crankset is a really nice crankset. Maybe not as light as I would expect for a carbon, but lovely and easy to work on. It's got a sensor on it. Bottom bracket looks okay. Bottom brackets on these GPXs can be a bit fiddly, assuming it is a GPX. That looks good. Right, so the chain catcher is loose. So let me see if I can zoom you in on that. Oh. That's about as close as I can get you, I think. Right. Bear with me. So there's a chain catcher on this SRAM group set. It's there, and you can see it's not tight. Right. The stop's set okay. Well, no, the stop's not set okay. I need to read the manual on these, but I think the idea is that you adjust that pin until it comes out, and it's just there enough to stop the chain if it jumps off when you're changing down. Unfortunately, at the moment there's a big enough gap for it to drop down, so it is dropping down, so that just wants adjusting out slightly and then tightening down, because it is hitting the side of the chain as well, so we'll sort that out. Gear cable itself is badly frayed, but it's badly frayed after that. There's no sign that there's a problem in there. I don't think the adjustment he's looking at, that's very slack, and that's also very far across, so I think it does want moving out a bit. We'll find out when we see what's going on when it's up on the wrap. There's a screw missing out of the riv nut for that, so we'll stick one of them in for a saddle's off at a weird angle. Apparently somebody told her to adjust the saddle the other day, so we'll get that undone and put it straight. So that needs doing, that needs doing, that there needs doing. Pedals. These are genuine Shimano pedals. They feel okay, so that's good. Back wheel. No signs that there's any bearing wear on them. These Visions do suffer on the back wheel. Looks true enough. Visual inspection of the gear cable, that's fine. Again, this one's a little bit frayed, but it appears to be frayed after. I can't see if there's a coating on these. It doesn't look like there is, so we might be alright, because the last one we had in, which was that one on an SRAM Force, had got coated cables and the coating was coming off them. Brake cable looks good. Nothing, no problems there. that pump's not hung on there in the best of ways, but we might be have a look at that. I might suggest that she takes that off there and puts it next to the one of these, either that one or that one, possibly that one, rather than have it up there, because that's not the best place for it. Everything else looks alright. It's got a turbo skewer on, so we'll just knock it out and just check that we've got 2 springs and they're in the right way round. I'd call that a win. Now I did notice that again this brake was misaligned too, so massively out of line in fact. So I'll just knock it down. We'll just do a little draggy, but sometimes these back brakes are. Nope, that's good. Brake pads okay front, brake pads okay rear. Other than that, it looks good. So it's just a gear indexing problem. And of course I forgot to zoom you out because I'm used to using the GoPro. Yeah. So where did we get to? No, I think you pretty much saw everything you needed to see. That was the main problem down there. Like I said, we could do a fastening that up. Back brake was out of alignment. We've just tweaked that up again. Hopefully they do put a flat on these, as well as having the adjuster. So you know, it's kind of, but it's just as easy just to give it a little tweak with your hands, because they go out of sync fairly straight away. The saddle's pointing a little bit skew north. So what we'll do first, before we get up on the ramp, is we will do the handlebars, and we'll get that seat lined up. Right, let me just work out what does what on here. I think that's the lock for that, so that must be the lock for the spinner. Yes. Yeah. Right, let me grab some tools. We're back in. Yep. Right, let's get this saddle straightened up first. It looks like a 4mm. What if I pick that one up? Picked up a 3 now. Put the 4mm back. Yep. Right, just get this secure so it's not going to go walkabouts. Right, I'm just having a quick check to see if there's a rating on this. I can't see one, so we'll go with the standard 6, which is normal for the grip stuff. 5 to 6 Newton meters. What's it say on the front one? That's the Selkoff as well. 6 Newton meters. There we go. Good and tight. 4, 5, 6. There we go. I had the right one in my hand. I took it off. So I'm just going to give it a quick. This is where I find out it's absolutely chewed to pieces. It does not feel good. I suspect the butchers have been at that one. Have to be very careful with this. Right, so that's at least 6. So we'll just snug it round. I don't know if you could ride that actually. It was so far off. Right, so Alright, hopefully that'll be okay and they've not butchered that up too much. How do we want to do this so that you're not in the way? It's another thing with the Insta, it's a lot easier to right, so you know the drill with these. That's probably a 5 to be honest. There you go. Just slacking it off a bit. And all we need to do is just tighten this up. Just check it is actually in line before we do all this. So you'd never really hand crank down on that. All we're going to do now is just check that it's gone away, make sure that the bearings aren't damaged. Right, so that's tight, moves good. Almost in line. I'm not gonna mess with that. Right. Make sure this is seated properly so they don't end up with another butchered one. Let's go back and do the other side again. That's it. That's good. Right, so we've fixed 2 of the issues. While we're here, we might as well stick one of those in. I think I actually have a proper water bottle one. That's a proper water bottle one. Let's stick that one in, assuming it fits. No. Come on. No. Sure, it's a no. It's definitely a no. That's the one. What's that one before we go any further? Oh god, that one's loose as well. Right, I wonder if they've screwed the threads up on this. It feels okay. Back to the fore. I'll just charge them £1 for the bolt. I do need to start charging for little bits like that because they do cost me a fair packet. I think the last time I bought a box of assorted bolts it was about £20, so hold on a second. I think somebody's cross-threaded that. Oh no, we've got through it. I think they had cross-threaded it, but fortunately bottled it, so we'll call that a win. Like I said, what I might suggest to her is that she moves that down to there, or at least onto the other side. Right, oh, I ought to have a pad of paper going here listing all the things I've done, because I always forget. Oops, you didn't see any of that again, did you? Right, so what I've done, you have to keep shouting at me and reminding me I've got to reset the thing every time I move. So I've just dropped 3 think it's an M4 bolt in there. I'd actually got a spare old water bottle bolt, so we've dropped that in, tightened that top one up because these were both loose as well. So we've just snugged them up. I've not bothered torquing them, so I've just done them to what I consider to be safe. I'm not really that bothered if they shake loose, it's not the end of the world. But I don't know over tighten because they are just riv nuts in there. They are a bit of a nightmare. I haven't got a torque spec, so we'll do it by feel. Right, they're done. Bonus. We'll just get that. Are we with me? I can't see what we're recording. I've got my flapping the wrong way around. That's not good. It doesn't bend that way. That's annoying. Anyway, I can see what I'm doing. Just about. Ooh. Right. Bike's up on the frame. Lift. Bike lift. Let's just run it through the gears and see what happens. I'm hoping the back's not an issue. There wasn't any reports that we got problems on the back, but it's worth just checking it. I do think we've probably got one too many links in this chain, though it's not fully doubled back on itself. Oh, I hate SRAM. Well, this one does seem a bit better. This must be one of the newer ones. It's okay. Yeah, it's good enough. Then no grinding. One thing I didn't do, you didn't remind me, while we're here, let's have a look at the chain. I'm pretty sure this bike hasn't done the miles to need a new chain yet. Yeah, we're miles off. That's no disrespect to Tracy, but she doesn't do the mileage. So that is the original chain. Maybe another 12 months we might be ready for a chain, so keep an eye on that. It's just starting to drop into the first warning light sign, so, but you know, normally I'd say 6 months for most people, but this bike probably 12 months. Right, let's just do the same in the upper position. Right, fairly smooth change up. I'm not concerned about that in the slightest. Let's just check it going back down again. Not seeing any issues there. Wonder if I can get it to do it. So it's predominantly happening when they're on the turbo, which means it could be a lack of pressure on the actual chain, which means it's wobbling and bouncing. Ah, right, now then. Right, so I would say that there's probably, as I suggested when I did the walkthrough, that is probably a little bit loose and wants a bit of tightening up. It wants to throw it up more and it's probably taking it down a bit too far. So it probably wants the high-low adjusting. But while we're up there, let's give it a quick spin through the gears, just make sure we haven't got any other issues. Now it's tighter. Usually it's better when it's tighter. It takes out any chain slop. Right, yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can see that, but that is loose. So that just wants tightening up a bit. It does look like it's possibly slipped at some point. There's not really a lot I can do about the without changing the cable, and I'm almost loath to change the cable just for that, but it does. No, it has gone through to the other side. I don't know if you can see that. Let me take you out of the thing and you can spin your thing around and I can see if I can get you in there. Come on, focus, damn you. So what are we looking at? Come on, focus. Let me get some manual tweak if you're not going to behave. Come on. Come on, focus. Ah, there we go. Right, can you? There's a frayed wire there. Right, that she keeps catching her leg on, but I don't know if you can see it underneath. That's bulged out as well, so that implies that we have had some slip there and it's started to split. So I think what I will do is I will swap. Oh god, I hate these, but yeah, I'll swap that over for, I'll stick her a new cable in. Oh great, I know we've really upset it. The autofocus has knocked off. Let's get you all the way back again. So I think that's what we'll do. Before we do anything else, we'll get that cable swapped out. We'll reset it all back up again. We'll make the adjustments to that. Then I think we're good. Now all we've got to do is the bar tape, and I'll save that tomorrow when I've got some patience. Are we recording? Get a rating on it, because we want to see every minute of my pain. This side of things isn't that bad, to be honest. The only thing I'm not sure about is its internal routing. Oh god, I hate these things. Yep, so it's the same drill as we had with the other Planetex we did the other day. It's internally routed. So what we'll do is we will clip it up here, and then we will depends how they've done it. Let's have a look. So assuming that's the that's this one. Yeah, it's that one. Bear with me a second. Right, that's the bit we're aiming for. Just got to find a really tiny we're recording. Oh, come on, get in there. Go on, you can do it. Go on. Just focusing on the wrong thing. There we go. Yeah, the autofocus is a little bit too wide. Alright, so I'm just going to have a quick look in here and see how this cable routing's done, whether it's a fished cable or there's an inner. I'm hoping it's a fished cable, because it just makes life a little bit easier. Because what it means I can do is I can do that trick I did last time with the that's the back. When you tell me I've just undone the back brake. This one, the one that's already hanging out. Am I looking at the right one? I am now. Close-up shots are better when you do it like this. I can get a lot closer with this. Right, yeah, so we're into a straight fished cable. So I don't screw it up like I did last time, I think what I'll do is I will cut it there, so I've got plenty of room to feed the cable over the top. Stick my where's that just gone? Great, barely magnetic screws. Right, so we will just cut this here. Can you see what I'm doing? I don't know if you can just check if you're in sight for that as well. Should we zoom you out a bit? The trouble is I've got the lights right at the back of it, so we're getting a bit of glare off the lights, but it's kind of where we are with this one. Actually, maybe I just... That better? I think so. Right, so we'll just clip this here. I think last time I clipped it too far back and I didn't give myself any room to do something, but I can't remember what it was I was trying to do, to be honest. Might have cut it too close to that. I'll not give myself enough room. Can't remember. That's okay. Oh, that's right. No, I didn't give myself enough room to push it back through. I remember what I did. Yeah, right, so that's okay. Go and put this somewhere safe. So this is the inline adjuster, which I'll be honest, I think was in the wrong way up. That doesn't feel like it's working at all. Oh no, it wasn't. It was in the right way up. It just wasn't. It was just stuck. Right, there's usually an adjust down to line, which gives you a few more to, which is just there. I don't know if you can see it. There's an adjust down to line. Right, favourite bit. Do I try and put you on this, or do I just go and do it and swear quietly somewhere? So I've got you. You're recording, aren't you? Right. So there's a little cubby hole, which is the bit I don't like, and I can't remember which side it's on. It's on that side. Typical. Right, where were we? So there's a little cubby hole in there, and inside there at some point is the end of the cable. Now what happened last time I did this is I didn't give myself enough room to shove the cable through. There we go. Can you see it's just popped out of the cubby hole? And they're an absolute, you can hear how tight that is. Well, hopefully you can hear how tight that is. Absolute nightmare to get in and out of them. Good thing is cable looks in good condition. It does look like a Shimano cable rather than an SRAM cable. So I'm wondering if they've been changed before. So we'll see if we can... so these are an absolute nightmare to fish. To get them to go into the tube on the other side and then go all the way round. And I may just turn the camera off because it involves a hell of a lot of swearing. No, we might have cracked it. To be honest, the first bike I did these on was a bit of a basket case. It's come out with quite a lot of shit and fluff. So you can feel there's quite a lot of drag on that, which isn't ideal for a... It's okay, it's moving. Moving enough. So, take my spare bit of cable out. Same trick as before. So, where are we going? We're back. Right, sorry, yeah, we had a camera error then. Don't know what was up with it. It needed me to turn it off and turn it back on again. Yeah, I do know you've got to be careful with heat on these. Right, so just take that sleeve off and the thing. Put it somewhere safe so we don't lose it. Shift the detritus out of the way that I've been tripping over. I don't know why I didn't move it. I can't see all that. It's good. Don't you dare. So we can do the same trick as before. Hopefully you can see this. Can you see that? Yeah. So we're just going to slide. So we've got some inner cables. This is what they put inside frames. And then hopefully this is going to go all the way down to the bottom. And it should appear down here. He says. I might have to give it a bit of a gentle persuasion. That's it. Yeah, this isn't going quite as well as last time. Hopefully I've got enough of this over the end of the cable for it to nope. Right, let me stick that up and reposition. You back. Alright, I think you can see that. So it didn't work for whatever reason, that came out. So what we're going to try and do is just fish this down. What I don't want to have to do is undo the back one. So you can see that that's coming out. That bit's easy. It's this bit here. Though it does look like it might be a separate one. So let me just drop that down to its loosest. And grab a different sized Allen key, because why have one size Allen key when you can have several? So normally this is one plate and it's an absolute pig to get off while you've got another one on. I'm kind of hoping that we can get away with this one. And just move that out of the way. Depends how it's on. There we go. Oh, brilliant. Right, we might drop lucky with this, but then again we might not. So it might be easier now to fish this up until we see it pop out at the top. Mind your way. Oh, there we go. I can see it, I just can't quite grab it because I didn't bring my fishing thing with me. Bear with me a minute. Two things you need. So if you're going to go fishing, these are what you need. So I'll just tuck one in there. We'll try that again. Oops. So if you you keep going until you see it up there, and then what you do is you just stick that in and you try and grab it. If that one doesn't work, you grab another one. The one I've just dropped on the floor. Now, need another one. Yeah. Gotcha. That's it. So if that makes sense what I've just done there. So I was trying to get that to slide all the way down and just pop out the bottom, which I did actually get that to work on the other one, but I think I needed to pull more of the cable back through from over there. So that's still there. Don't pull that out yet, we need that for the next part. So what we need to do now is just not forget to put the other bits of the cable on first. So put these back on. Does this make sense? Let me zoom you back out again so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just dropping the ends on as they, in the order that they came off. But while I'm doing this as well, I'm also feeling for if I've got any crusties or anything nasty going on in any of these. Because if that's tight there, and then this is tight, and then the next bit's tight, it all adds up, and eventually it all goes wrong. Just need to make sure that's all nicely lined up, so it doesn't bite me later like the one did the other day. Make sure you pop this in the right way round as well. Right, so it doesn't really matter this next bit. All we're bothered about is just getting it through here. Oh, what's stuck in there? A bit of sawdust or something. Or it's a bit of grease out the headstock possibly. That's it. So we'll just feed this through. And then that should just pop out down there now. There we go. We can see it. Hopefully that's long enough to get around to the other bit. So make sure they're seated properly. Those ones on the Planet X ones are a bit of a nightmare. Right, so we've just got to be careful now down there because we pop that off, so we've got to make sure we get that on next. I'll also take this opportunity to screw that back in as well. Can you focus on that? It's black on black, so it's probably not doing a very good job of that. So little one, littlest one, there we go. So we'll just drop this back in. Just move that out of the way. No, don't you dare. Just got to be careful it doesn't pull itself back out of the thing. Now we've pulled the tube out. That's it, shove that back in. We'll make sure all these are nicely snugged up before we, yeah, you can see that one's come undone already. So that needs to go back in there. That's it. Don't move, bike. Well, you can go there. I'll let you go there. And try not to burn your legs on the fire. Come on, focus. There we go. So just got to make sure that goes back where it is, and this is threaded through the right side of this. Let's get that one out of the way. Drop that back over. Job's a good one. We quite like this frame. It's a damn sight easier than the one I did the other day. I know it went okay, that one, but it could have gone oh so not okay. Alright, so that's in. All we've got to do now is just feed that up, and we do that in exactly the same way. In fact, I don't think we need to actually on this one, do we? I think we're okay for just pulling that one out. We didn't do one of these, did we, the other day? We did the so you're stood in my way now. So that's it. So the trick is with this is to feed it through that one and then feed it up through that hole, and it should just pop out. And then you've just got to be careful that's it, we just got to be just careful we don't put a kink in there, so massage it round, pop it in, there we go. And actually we've got quite a bit of spare cable there, so I'm quite happy with that. Are we back? Alright. So I've just got to check everything's where it should be and all tucked in, otherwise I'll be pulling this cable straight and it won't make a difference. Right, so that's okay. Pull that up now. Just going to have a quick look and make sure that these were originally right, so they weren't, which is possibly why we were having some of the issues. So these are supposed to go straight up from what I can tell and not to be wound round. So I've got that quite tight. And then if we need to now we can adjust that up a bit, which I think I'm going to do. Now I'm going to work out what size it is, and it'll be yet a different size again. Yep, it is. It's the one size we haven't used yet. Right. Now unfortunately I haven't got anything that says high-low on this, so I'm going to be relying on skills. I think it's this back one looking at it. So I'm just going to look down and just see when it starts to move it. Right, that's all it needs, not much. You'd normally go with the outer edge of this, but they're a bit funny, these. You don't have them in a plane like the others. They cantilever slightly, which is why you don't have 4 positions like they do on the Shimano ones. Right, so that is now a little bit higher. Right, so we can take a bit of that out of there as well. I think we can anyway. Yep. That's right, so moment of truth. Just check I did tighten that up before we go any further. That's it. Right, so that just wants to be slightly tilted, because as it bends it'll take that towards the tyre, and as long as you push it that way and that way it'll miss the tyre in theory. God, I hate these things, there's so much force you have to put on them. Right, we are miles off. Oh God, that's sloppy as anything. I'm guessing it's all moved. So I'll just wind that one back down to its marker again. So this is what I was saying about you've got to make sure you get these seated before you adjust them, because otherwise you end up with that. So what's obviously happened is there was something that wasn't quite seated, and then as I've put the pressure on it, it's pulled it back into its position. Now I could do this with a pair of pliers and hold this, but there's no need. Right, let's move that about 4mm. That feels reasonably tight. We can take the slack up with the adjuster. I've wound the adjuster back now. So let's have another go at this. Right, so what's that rubbing on? Oh, I see. That's better. That's a lot better. It's very hard to do these because of the amount of force you have to put on them. Right, I think that wants adjusting up a little bit. That's it. Right, so all we've got to do now is just tighten up that and adjust it up. So what we will do is back it back down. Nope, and it's another size. Yep. So we'll just check, we'll put it in its highest position. Not that you should be running, oh no, it should be alright on this one. Oh, is that or is that the other thing? Let's just, no, that's that. So that just wants to go down this. Right, so that just wants to be adjusted down slightly more. We've got a little bit of drag. There we go. So I'm just adjusting that now so it just catches on the edge of the chain. Right, that's rubbing on the chain, so that wants. Right. So now I'm adjusting there's a catcher arm call it a catcher arm. It's you could call it a chain retention arm. That's it. We like that. So I'm just adjusting that out now so I can get it as close before it starts grinding. Right, that's grinding now. So we need to put that back. That's it. Hopefully that fits that. That's it. That's a lot tighter, so that shouldn't be able to move now. Yep, that's good. Right then, let's just give it a quick gear check now then. So we'll go up and down the gears. Make sure we're not getting any odd noises. Halfway up. Still wants adjusting up. That's better. I just need to take a little bit out of that one. So it's got something to ride up onto. Yep, there's a little bit of movement there, so that's good. Perfect. Let's check the up and downies. Right, I call that a win. Just need to stick an end on that, trim it back. Oops, use the bad side. That's it. Yeah, one way it cut better than the other. Who knew? I'm a bit obsessed with these things. That's it. So just tuck that in there. So it shouldn't be round there. It should be tucked back in there. And then in theory, I'll just check it. That's it, that's spot on. Just bend it a bit more straighter. There you go, miles away from the tyre. No issues there at all. Shouldn't be catching on the rider's leg. No bits hanging off, so we can probably lose them now as well. That needs moving. Right, so all we've got to do is the bar tape, so we'll tackle that tomorrow. But yeah, bar tape tomorrow, I think. We'll get the hang of this. That's it, we're all focused up now. We take pictures. So we fixed everything on the list. No cost. We reused an old piece of cable we've got that's perfectly serviceable. So, nothing wrong with that. Bar tape's already here, so I just need to stick that on tomorrow. Nice bike, that. Really nice, quite light. If you look at it, it's a very similar frame to the bike that they use for their UCI frames. It was obviously, I don't think it was based on this, but I think there's a bit more of a gusset there. That tube's more rounded. Top tube's very similar. Forks, maybe not so. I'm looking at one behind me, that's why. I know. It would have been nice to have the force on the other one, but hey ho. No, I think that's good. We'll not worry about that. We're not seeing any signs that the back one's got an issue. See you again tomorrow. Right, back again next day. Spoke to the owner. Oh, we ain't got the shotgun mic on. Let me bring you back in a couple of seconds. That's it. Moved you around a bit as well. Yeah, spoke to owner. Spoke to Tracy about this. She says, yeah, if I can put the pump down there, and we can get rid of the tie wraps. Just need to be careful with these because I don't know if you can see what I'm up to there, but they are quite tight against the frame. I've got the weediest pair of pliers ever seen as well. There we go. That sounded worse than it was. I was cutting across the actual clasp on the thing, so I'll keep well away from the frame. I could slide a Stanley knife underneath it, but there we go. We can get these off as well. Bin fodder. Let's just have a look at this and see how this is supposed to clip up so it doesn't, because I suspect it's not. Yeah. Oh, it's one of those. You pop it apart and with it. It's a two-stager. Yeah, it just seems odd that there's no way to clamp that in unless it's. Oh, I see it. Huh. Yeah, it wasn't fastened in properly. There's actually there's a lug in there. I'm wondering whether there's another lug around there as well. No, just that one. So yeah, there's a little pin there that holds that in place. I'm not sure how well it holds that in place. And then that clips on underneath there, or I'm wondering whether it might be better on doing it that way up, but could do it that side. Alright, let's get them off again since we just put them back on again yesterday. What was it? Was it a 4? Sorry, stood in the way again. Just check the length on these as well, because the reason they might not have gone under there in the first place was because they weren't long enough, which I suspect is the case. So what we'll do is the trouble is they're riv knots, so the threads don't start until about 4mm in, so these only just bite in to the threads, you can see there. So if you stick this on as well, it's just not gonna bite in. So we will just drop these in the little parts bucket and we will find something a little bit longer. See if we've got anything in the spares bucket that's longer. There was actually a a bit longer, if that's the right size. I'm in the right, yeah, I'm in the right ballpark. So we'll grab hold of that and a washer as well. So if we've got, oops, don't drop it. So I've got quite a few sets of these. These were bought as a kit. to replace all the JIS bolts on a motorbike, and you always end up with way more than you need. So I'm just having a look, see if there's any specific water bottle ones, because I put them in there as well. They're all cat's head ones. If not, I've also got a box of spares down here as well, I suspect. So I've got a box of assorted. Right, Roy over here. Try and get in the habit of moving the camera around more and doing some more close-up work. Be more like Musty. Cheap Chinese boxes with plastic that doesn't want to move. Carnage of the last few bike fixes still floating around. So we're after something for that. Nope. I think these are M4. Yeah, that's one. That's two. Yeah, they'll do. Job's a good one. Yeah. Moved you over there now. Sorry, you got the light in your eyes, but it means I'm not going to be constantly standing in your way. Right, which way up do these go? Right. That feels alright actually. So it looks like it's supposed to go that way up, but I am slightly cautious in that I'm worried that that is not the best fit and it's likely to fall down, so I'm more mindful to put it either on that side that way up, so that it does clear it if I shove it right the way across, or we turn it that way up and put it on this side, but that looks like it might have a few issues. Yeah, I don't know why it fits that way but not the other way. That's weird. I suspect because that's got a twist on it. Right, so we'll go with that way up on this side, because otherwise it's that way up on that side, which does put it further up the frame, but like I said, I'm a bit concerned that that might end up coming down. It does look like it's fairly in. At least if we put it that way up and she gets it wrong, I'm worried about that popping out though. No, it's okay. Oh, decisions. I think it'll be alright that way round. It's whether or not it clears that. Should do. There should be the same clearance on both sides. It definitely just seemed to be. No, I won't sit that way up. It's got to be this way up. So what we might have to do as well is, because that's recessed, is to oops. Well, the other option is see if we can fit it on this side, that way up. The other thing I'm worried about with that one is that as the foot comes over, the heel is active on that pedal and it could kick it off, whereas the heel's never going to be near it on this side. So yeah, So what we'll do as well is we'll just drop a washer in there. It doesn't have to be the same size. It just needs to be fill that gap. Make something chunky in the next size up. 2, 3. Oh, they fit nice, and they make it flush. So I don't know if you can see that. Probably not focusing. So I'm just going to drop one of those in, and what that does is that makes that smooth, that makes that flush then. So it takes that recess away, which means normally it wouldn't be an issue, but this is carbon, so I just want to protect that as much as I possibly can. And if we have it hanging down there too, it does take it out the way of, there we go, it does take it out the way of the water bottle as well, so we're less likely to have a water bottle incident. Right. Something else I'll do is I will put a bit of anti-seize on. So these generally do have a bit of a problem. There's a bit of, you're going to get a lot of sweat, a lot of water from your water bottles, and a lot of salt and stuff off the road. These are either stainless steel or titanium, so you've got a different metal, and the riv nuts are made out of aluminium. So what you tend to find is that they will seize, and I have had to drill some out of one of the bikes I've done and put in some more riv nuts again, which if it's your own bike you're not too bothered about, but if it's somebody else's bike it's a little bit scary, because invariably you do end up making a bit of a mess because you're drilling a frame, and the riv nuts never want to come out, I'll tell you that now. Right. This is where we just got to hope that that washer that we put in stays in place. Like I said, these are carbon, so you don't want them, when we're screwing them down, disappearing into that recess, because it'll break the carbon. So we've got a washer on top to protect the carbon. Just straighten that up. Yeah, that's fine. That seems a happy bunny. Yeah, so we might want to put something round there, like an elastic band. Which I don't think I've got. Normally I have loads and loads and loads of elastic bands rolling around on the floor. Right, give me a couple of minutes, I'll see if I can find an elastic band. Are we going? We are going. Right. Yeah, there you go. So that's on. I've just found a little bit of old rubber band that was around an inner tube. Just put that round just to stop the little catch from flapping up and down. I've actually orientated it downwards, and that looks to be better. The only thing I'm not happy about is it obviously clips up underneath now, which if it was round the other side it wouldn't clip up like that, which I might chuck it around the other side. Do you know what I don't like? Come on, focus. Is that better? Yeah, focus. I think we've got that now. That looks alright. It's nicely tucked away. There's a good 10mm clearance between that and the pedal arm, and that's fine. Still clip that down anyway. That would just need to tell Tracy about that. There's a little pin inside there that needs to go against that, because that was flapping around, so that'll be fine. Seems Seems solid enough. Yep. If she's got any other issues with it, I'll give her a Velcro strap to put around it as well, just to be on the safe side. And no, that should be fine where it is there. Looks good. Right then, just got the wrap to do now. Not the video wrap, the handlebars wrap. Right. I'll bring my phone down with me. Oh, that's good. Everything's happy on the world. Yeah. So, as many of you, well, the few of you that watched all the videos, some of the earlier ones, I've done a few of these. They are not my favourite thing in the world. It's bizarre. Yeah, they're not my favourite thing in the world. I don't like doing handlebar tape because I think it looks a right flipping mess when I've done it. But everybody else seems to think I'm doing it alright, so looks like I've made a rod for my own back. Now this is, I'm just trying to make life easier, so I do this quite a lot when it's on the stand if I've got an issue with the handlebars flopping around. Particularly on TT bikes. Of late I've started doing this because they're a bit of a nightmare. You get them in the stand and they have a tendency, the handlebars swing round quite violently and bash into the frame, and because of the way the TT bars are, they invariably will either chip the paint or smash an hole in the the top tube. I just need to shift some of this paraphernalia because I've got absolutely no chance of doing this bar tape with these on. These actually look like aero profile bars. I don't think they're carbon. No, they are aluminium. So shove that in there. Don't let me forget to put it back on. Can you still see that? Yours. Good, you are far back. So we'll put it in the pile of bits to not to forget to stick back on. This needs to come off. So this is a watch mount that she uses. You can buy other ones. The best thing to do with this is just cut it. Looks like a bit of pipe insulation. That's the usual thing that we use. A bit of pipe insulation over the bars, and then you put your watch on, your normal triathlon watch on. So not much luck with watches. He went for the TomTom one when everybody else was going Garmin, and the TomTom's not a bad watch, but it just has some compatibility issues with everything. And it's one of those watches that if it's got tit on and it doesn't feel like working, it doesn't matter what you do to it, it ain't gonna work. So I think the main reason that Tracy was after some new tape was, I don't know if you can see that, take it for a quick walk round, is there's some damage to the tape there, the tape there, and the end cap's missing out of that one, and actually that's a DQ in triathlon. So if you rock up to transition and they spot you've got bar ends missing, you ain't racing. Looks like somebody's creatively got round it at a competition by shoving some tape over it, which I'm surprised they let that go, because the whole point of it is that that's a puncture hazard, and it's like a hole cutter, and if you hit that at any kind of speed, it's just going to stick in your leg. Same with if you've got any of these damage to the end of these, they'll fail you for that as well, or anything else that's spiky and sticking out. So putting a bit of tape over it doesn't really stop it, but you would argue that actually it's the amount of tape, bar tape that's down that hole, it's not going to cause any issues. Not a big fan of doing handlebar tape on SRAMs either, so I've had to do one before, and it's the way the cables come out there. You can see that that's already pinched and making a bit of a mess of it. Right, so it's that way. I do one at a time, so I make sure I get them right and I don't end up with a scenario going on, which has happened. It looks like it's leaving half of its backing tape behind as well. I'm not worried about that, it just makes it sticky for it to stick onto. See how they've done it round here, and then I'll try and find a better way of doing it, because I don't think that's particularly good. I think that's just leaving itself open for damage there. It's putting a lot of pressure on that, so we'll try and they have done the switchback. No, that's weird. I've not seen that before. So that piece that they put over there, oh, they haven't put a piece over there. I thought they'd done the so somebody has done two pieces there by the looks of it, I think. Not sure what they've done. You're supposed to have a piece of tape that you put around the back of there, and you are supposed to stop your bar tape at there, but I think because of the way these come out on these SRAM ones, it's kind of hard to do it where you don't end up trapping that, because if you look, that's where the cable comes to, so you've still got to go across there to get under. So not brilliant. Honestly, can't see you could have done it any other way without getting that pressure on there. Like I said, the Shimano ones don't exit like that. They exit down. Both of them exit down the side, out the way. So I think I mentioned before that the cable placement on these SRAMs is an absolute nightmare. It's what makes feeding the gear cable really, really tricky. Oh, we've left half of it on there, just for good measure. Don't even know what that is. It's like there's a can't entirely work out what they've done there. It's almost like there's another roll of tape on it. Yeah, it's definitely left quite a bit of it behind. This might take a while. Yeah, it looks like the actual adhesive layer is quite a thick piece. I'm not sure I want to lay the new tape over the top of it, especially down here, because it looks like it's still left some of the padding stuck to it as well. So I'm going to have to get the heat gun on this and warm it up a bit, see if I can persuade it to come off in one piece, because it's not looking like it wants to play ball at the moment. So everywhere you see that's shiny is where it's left tape on. I won't even say residue, because it's definitely tape. No, it's not having it. Yeah, there's some insulation tape up there as well, but I think if I just aim to get the big lumps off, we'll be right. Where did I put the? Try not to walk in front of the camera again. Let's just see if I can persuade. It doesn't really matter if I score the bars under here. It's not going to cause any issues. That's a bit better. this could take a while. Yeah, it's definitely a bit more than just that. Funny, because the top bar wasn't as bad, but I think the top bar is, and it's cold as well, which makes this tape, well, it makes all tape very brittle. It makes the glue less likely to let go. You see, I'm pulling it off, and it's leaving the sticky behind, which I'm not bothered about that. I just need to get the actual tape bits off, because, like I said, some of these have actually got some of the furry stuff in them as well. Let's have a look what we've been given to work with. Right, so we've got some nice middles. They look nice and juicy. Have we got any overlap pieces? Right, that's the finishing tape. I'll just chuck that there out of the way. Chuck the other one in there. Put the plug in there. Right, let's have a look what we got. Don't know how I feel about this tape. Feels nice enough. Well, it's got some nice texturing on it. It almost feels like neoprene. That's actually textured, so that's quite grippy. Yeah, I will need a piece to put around there. So we just need a short piece, so I'll go and get a pair of scissors. Some good scissors on it. We've got some lines to follow. Oh god, it doesn't cut easy. That doesn't bode well. Now, don't cut your fingers. Not on YouTube. I'll have me for blood and gore censorship. Right, don't drop the tape. Peel the sticky bit off this. When they give you these, they're invariably too long. They don't need to be that long. What it does do though is it just gives you some options around how you bridge round the back of there. So it's quite sticky, that stuff. Right. So the idea with this is you try and leave quite a bit to tuck in under, but this is quite thick tape, so I'm going to have to be careful how I do this. And then the idea is I get one wrap in, and then I start to roll off, so I leave enough to stick under. Right, you start in a straight line. Now I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that'll tell me I'm wrong and you shouldn't do it like this, but I don't care. Right, and then just pull it and introduce the angle that you want. This is the good thing about leaving some of the tape behind. Now on some tape you can actually see there's a gel ridge in the middle where the sticky is, and the idea is you want to be getting the sticky so it's just off the previous one. But like I said, with this tape it's actually quite difficult to see, so it's already doing my eyes in. What do I think of the tape? I think that's my answer. It's doing my flipping eyes in already. So the idea is you want some reasonable tension on this. I had some skull and crossbones sort of Day of the Dead one to do. I think you'll see it on... Well, actually, I don't know whether I was videoing when I did that one. It was one of the first bikes in. I did a favour for a mate's fiance, and he'd given her a bike or bought her a bike, and she wanted to personalise it with some tape, and she's into all this gothy, emo-y, witchy, shitty stuff. But that was an absolute fucking nightmare. That was possibly the worst tape ever. I managed to do it. It looked okay, you know, even with my critical eye, but Jesus Christ, because it had got a pattern on it. That was doing my head in. That was possibly the worst tape I've ever... Right, so when you're going around the inside, you do have to start overlapping the tape, because you can only go so far on the outside, and then you have to keep your tension all the way on the tape. You've got to, when you come on the inside, you've got to keep that tension. You've got to go back in the middle. There we go. I think we've cracked that. Just got it thrown under the difficult bit as well then, and I fluffed it. So same thing again, we're going round, so you have to get it as close to the edge as you can on that one, and then when you come on the inside track, and we're going to start losing the tape now, you have to roll quite heavily back over the bit you've just been over, especially on these, because this is the tightest one that you will do. So again, try and go as wide as possible and then come back in as narrow as possible. The narrower you can make that, the easier the next one coming out will be. Don't worry about not having enough tape, you'll always have enough tape. And these aren't the widest bars in the world either. And if anything, when you're doing this bit round there, that's where most of your holding's doing, so you're actually putting thicker, because in some places you'll have maybe 3 or 4 layers building up. Right, now we're into the straightaway again, so we can go back to just rolling it, and it's almost identical to the lines of the one that was there originally, so I know I'm not a million miles away. Right, and there's a dip there, so you want to be aiming for at least covering that dip. And then this is the bit I always hate, because you're going to have to cut this now. And I've got no lines to work off, and these scissors really don't like cutting this stuff, so I'm not looking forward to this at all. So what you're aiming for is there's a ridge usually, or a mark where you can see that you are coming off, so you want to be aiming for just sort of hitting the end of that. So we'll strip one more on. Alright, so I've now got to try and eye this in so that in a straight line I can see where that is. So it's got to be quite a shallow angle. really does not want to cut these. You've got a bit of leeway with the cover tape. And the idea is that that then finishes there, and then you put your cover tape on. So what we will do is we will grab a bit of insulating tape, if I can find some, into my electrical drawer. Really didn't want to have to use white, but white's all we've got. I've got some in here, I've got some red. I thought I've got some black in here. It would appear not. And I'll put my scissors down as well. We need farther down there. Right. So I've got some electrical tape. It's best to get this secure with the electrical tape. And everybody going, you're not supposed to use electrical tape. Yeah, no, we're not supposed to use electrical tape. But it's better to do this bit with the electrical tape. This electrical tape is absolutely useless. It is better to just to hold that steady while you get the finishing tape on, because the finishing tape you only get one go at it, and if you take it off and try and put it back on, and you'll see it's wider than the electrical tape as well. And the other thing as well is you do not want ideally you want the finish so it ends up under there and not that way round. So if we start it with that one, you want it so that that finishes underneath. You don't want it finishing on the top. So we'll start it somewhere around on the top up here. Yeah, the insulation tape's come off now anyway. It's not the best time of the year to be doing this because it is so cold. Right. It just does not want to stick. Either that or we've got oil on it, which I don't think we have. I can see me getting some heat on this because that is not playing ball. Heat's gone. Yeah, so we're having the same trouble with the insulating tape that we are now having with the finishing tape. It's too cold. So it's just a hot air gun. Just putting my hand there as well. I'm just warming it up. Use my hand to guide it round the back. Yay. Right, I did have a little bit tucked under there, so I've just eased it off and pulled that bit out. So these bits should go back over there nicely, and we should have a nice neat finish on that. yeah, that's okay. And the bars are slightly out. I think that's had an impact at some point. No, feels nice that. Hope she's happy with that. Like I said, I'm not going to look at it, because as soon as I start looking at it, I'll start seeing bits that I don't like the look of. So same thing on this side now. We just need to get this side off. So I'll spare you the me unpick. Right, just got the other side off. Got the heat gun on it, and actually got all that residue that was left on, like on the other side. Did manage to get it off. So this is another bit that I particularly hate doing. It's stuffing the ends in and getting the thing in, and this is why I do it like I do it, instead of doing it the other way where you get a massive great sliver, or you start with it in there and then come round and then wind it out, because you just end up with too much stuff to try and pack in. Nope, because I've just realised there's writing on that. And my OCD wouldn't allow that out of the shop like that. And I've really got OCD. But that's just rubbish. Right. Whew. Them ends are actually quite good. They're really rubbery and quite grippy. So quite pleased with that. Right, let's repoint you at the other side. See if it sorts its focusing out. And pop the other one out. Oh, right. One bung, bunga, bungholio. Better some butter there. Where are they now? That grippy, I can't even get the wrapping tape off it. Yeah, no, I'm just chucking stuff all over the floor. I will come and tidy it up in a later thing. You know what, I might go and stand that on there. Don't put things on heaters, but I think that might help it a bit. Let's just point you back over here again. Skizzers. Skizzers. Can remember how long a bit we had last time. I think it was about that long, wasn't it? Something like that. Just seemed to cut better on the middle of the scissor stroke. I'm going to put them there. Remind me that I've put them there, because in 2 minutes time I'll be going, where's them flipping scissors gone? I'm not going to put them in my pocket, because that's just a recipe for me taking them into the house. The masking pieces, blanking pieces, whatever you want to call them, they do seem to fit better on the thing. Now the trick is to make this wind so when it gets to there, it's going in the opposite direction to there. I have done it once where it hasn't. A lump of nail hanging off, that's really irritating. This might be one of the first times I've actually videoed this. I don't normally video the God, that's sticky. I don't normally video putting bar tape on. It's like a magic trick, you know. 1 minute it's there, the next minute it's on. Because it does distress me, as you might have worked out. Especially this first bit that's the hardest, because you've got so much tape to deal with, and then you just start getting into your rhythm with it, and then you hit a curve, and the bike throws a curve at you. Especially with some of these weird flipping varying handlebars that Planitex keep designing that have got bends all over the flipping place. Right, we're coming to a curve, so we're going to have to start Preparing for the curve. Let's get that out of the way. Line that back up. Right. Oh, you. So I don't normally tear it off because it will actually peel itself. Swear. Yeah, I know I'm making a right pig's ear of this. One more. Yay! This is where I find out the video stopped recording. There's no light on the front of the camera to show that it's recording, which is really fucking annoying. Sorry, we're not allowed to use the F word. Sorry, it's really flipping annoying. And Facebook again a bit. I think it's only if you've tagged your videos as safe for kids. I think there's a couple of the American car ones that tag themselves safe for kids, and in the hope that Facebook never actually does a language check on them. And to say that their language is there's a fair few C-bombs on the one I heard that somebody sent, that was showing as an example the other day, but they sound like they are starting to crack down on that kind of stuff. I think it's quite lucrative if you can include kids in your videos, because the algorithm then pushes it to essentially a larger demographic of the audience. You know, then most people just click on this stuff anyway, especially the shorts. So, you know, you're kind of doing all right if you can, you know, increase your click count. I don't really know how it works, to be honest. Right. That's about it. Well, we'll try this one a slightly different way, because I've managed to bring it almost back to a straight anyway. So we'll just. Now you can't do it like that. There's a reason why you can't do it like that. And that's because you end up with a piece outside the tape. You know, the finishing tape. So we'll do it like that. Not cut it as shallow as the other one because I don't need to, but that's it. I'll just see if my tape's nice and warm. Warm the glue up. Right, so So I think we decided that it has to go on somewhere around. No, we didn't. Somewhere around there for it to finish. Push that over there where it's supposed to be. Put that on there so we've got the bare minimum hanging over. Right, it's a little bit loose, so we'll get heat on that one as well. It will shrink with a bit of heat, you see, so it's not a bad thing to do to it. It's like when they're doing vinyl wraps, and I think it's a similar polymer plastic, so you can actually get it to shrink and disappear into the edges with a bit of heat. Yeah, that's good. All looks good. Right, just going to put bung holio in. So somebody kindly points out that I've actually got the logo upside down. You know what, I don't care as long as it's straight. There we go, straightish. Right, I think these were over this side. So we'll shove that through there. See if we can get that right. Oh, look at that. First time I've seen these cat's eye things, the kind of thing you look at them and think, oh, they're nice. If I had money to throw away, I might buy myself one of them. Because they are supposed to be quite good. Oh, this one doesn't appear to be working. Don't even know how you get them off. I think you're supposed to be able to get them off and recharge them. There's usually a retaining clip somewhere. Looks like it's been in the walls a bit. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'd say that wants a bit of tape round it. Let me see if I can find a bit of black inside tape. Might have to be red. Sorry, Tracy. I think I've got green. Don't mind if I've got green. In here. Thought I got some in there. What's there? For all that. Of course, this is going to be cold as anything, and this isn't going to work. Front cover of light hanging off. Haven't got that on the list, have we? I've turned it on again. Well, it'll stop the front from falling off, and if the front's supposed to come off to get to the batteries, it's going to stop the water from getting in there, because I can't imagine that that was brilliant. Right, I think that I think we're done. Take my strap off. put that one in the drawer so I don't forget about it. Right, job's a good one. Let's have a quick look at the victim. So do a recap on what we did with this one. Realign the brakes, fix the standard Planet X wobbly headset until it goes wobbly again. Sorted out the missing bolts and tightened these up, got rid of all the tie wraps, cleaned up the cockpit a bit. I think we're going to be alright with that. Just need to remind to tell Tracy about that lug that's supposed to go into there. Sorted out the gears, sorted the indexing out, replaced the gear cable that was slightly stretched and frayed, and realigned the upper and lower adjusters, and adjusted the back brake. We've put new bar tape on, we've fixed the light, and I think that's it, to be honest. Yeah, that's never going to get seen under there, but I'm not touching that because last time I touched that it fell off. I think she had a light like that on it, and I said no, you need to clip it on the back, and I clipped it on the back and then it fell off. No idea how, but she's got another one under there as well, I think. It's like they're never going to get seen. That one's pointing down and that one's under a bag. You know, you really want to be looking about fastening them up there, maybe tying them onto that bit there. But that's just pointing down. It's like, apart from it shining out the side, that's gonna really make the car drivers happy. Yeah, I'd be tempted to put that one up there somewhere. Move that and put it up there. Maybe even move that. Put that somewhere else. They used to do some ones that you could put on your side stays there, and they were quite good. They were decent. I had one of them, but they seem to be prone to getting full of water. Anyway, we're rambling. Should we do a watch Wes work style ending? Watch Mark muck stuff up video. So what do we had today? So 2016 Planet X Maratona, carbon frame, few issues with the gears, needed some new bar tape. We found a few other things on the way. What have we learned? Do you know what? Value for money. I know I take the mickey out of Planet X, but you can't go wrong with a Planet X bike. You could, I mean, I think this bike retailed for 1,200 in 2016, which kind of put it, you know, it was an extra £100 on top of the Pro Carbon with the Ultegra. But this has got an SRAM Force group set on it with a carbon crank. 1,200 quid. I mean, you can't go wrong at that. Even if you threw the frame away and kept the group set and the wheels and everything else, you're walking away quids in there. So I mean, if you were to buy a carbon framed Specialized bike 2016, you were looking at 1,500 quid, and it would have a Shimano 105 or an SRAM Apex group set on it, which I'll be honest, the SRAM Apex is okay. No, it's not, it's shit. And Shimano 105s were not brilliant group sets. Okay, they were better than the Tigras, but you know, even the Pro Carbon, £1,000 in 2016 to 1,100 depending on your spec, came with an Ultegra group set on it. I mean, Ultegra group sets are bomb proof. I've got an Ultegra group set from 10 years ago. I bought the bike, so 2013, 2014 I bought a Planet X Holsworth Fire NZ with a Ultegra group set on it. Still using that group set on the turbo trainer with that frame. The only reason I stopped using the frame is because it's got some fracture marks in it, and that's only because my fat arse and I bought a frame that's one size too small. I've got a Holsworth up there with a second-hand Ultegra group set on. It's absolutely bomb-proof. You can't go wrong with them. I'm not a big fan of SRAM, but this SRAM Force group set, do you know what, if I was going to switch to SRAM, I'd quite happily put that on. Don't get me wrong, that the double tap shifting does my head in. So if you're not, anybody who's not familiar with SRAM, you on a Shimano, you press it, you press one lever up, and then there's another lever behind it that you press, and it brings it back down again. SRAM only have one. Sorry, with the Ultegra, the first lever is actually the brake lever. So while you're changing down, you can be braking at the same time, which is actually quite useful. So you push the brake lever across, and you can brake and change up at the same time into an easier gear, right? And if you want to knock down into a harder gear, there's a paddle behind it. So it's up, down, or up, depending on up, downs, wherever you want to go. So you press it in, it gets easier. You press the little flapper behind it, it gets harder. So the good thing about that is you can put the brakes on and you can change gear at the same time on the Ultegras. Love that. SRAMs, the way they do it is it's a separate paddle. There's one paddle, but it does up and down. I know. So you press it in hard and the gear's easier, but in doing that you actually go through a detent, and if you don't press it hard enough, it clicks and knocks it to a harder gear. So then if you get it wrong, you all of a sudden you're in a harder gear, so you then got to redo it again and press it hard. And I've seen people panic when they're on hills and miss it, and then miss it again, and then miss it again, and they're 3 gears down on coming into a hill, and it's like, I really didn't want that. So I think if you're going to ride SRAM with that single paddle thing, you've got to be good on your gears, right? I'm lazy as anything on them Ultegras, but horses for courses, people swear by these things. They certainly seem to be taking the market share with a lot of these bikes now. They're on a lot of them. Their Red, which I think's their top of the range, I think's on a par with Dura-Ace. The Force is supposed to be equal to Ultegra, but I think the Force is probably slightly better than Ultegra purely for the crankset, but then loses it on the gear changer completely. But the Apex, when you go down to the Apex is shocking. The Apex it's hard to set up. It goes wrong regularly. Don't get me wrong, the Ultegras have got, Shimano have got some finicky things as well. So the way that, I think I've mentioned it before, the way these works, they only have 2 action. So it's 2 detents, 2 indexes, one's up, one's down. On a Shimano, there's actually 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So you can trim, and it's because of the way the arm pantolinos, and the way the Shimano one does it, it's in a straight line. It maintains a straight plane. The way the SRAM, Apex, Force and Red do it, not the lower ones, don't do it, is it's a slightly out of a line cantilever, so it does that. So you don't get that problem with the inside edge catching the chain when you're at the extent of your gears. So you can actually cross an SRAM, which you're not supposed to do anyway. Crossing's bad, knackers your chain up, kids. Anyway, that's it. Said my bit at the end of this. I'm rather liking these sit down bits at the end. I don't know why Wes takes hours and hours of cutting them. I'm happy to rabble on forever. I'm not going to look at it, I'm not going to edit it, it'll go in exactly as it goes in. Anyway, I hope that's been useful for somebody. We're getting, the bikes are coming back in. I think there's another, at least one coming tomorrow. I've got somebody else that hit me up last week, but I think they were after coming and doing it while they were here, and I didn't have time to do that, so I've not heard anything back from him. And I've got at least 3 other bikes that I'm on a promise for, so I think Mick's wife, Deb's mountain bike, the gears need doing on that. Wayne's buggered up the brakes and gears on the orange white again, and I suspect Teresa's is due for a service. Lee's got to collect his. Alex's road bike's coming tomorrow, so it looks like we're going to have plenty of bike videos anyway. We might have a few other things as well. I've put an advert out on some of the other social media channels. I'm looking for lawnmowers or anything with an engine, because that's what I was supposed to be doing, not fixing flipping bikes. But let's face it, the Lockdown Workshop was only here because we were fixing bikes and building furniture outside. So that's where it all started. So it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Bye.